This setup is brought to you by Hoyt. This week I want to talk about what I carry to the tree stand or to the blind. And I am definitely a minimalist. I know people who carry a lot of stuff. I remember one evening one of my buddies came back from the hunt and his pull-up rope was broke. And I asked him how he broke his pull-up rope, and he said it was from lifting his pack up into the tree stand. And I went over and looked at it, and the thing had to have weighed 60 pounds. A 60-pound backpack to hunt whitetail deer. I mean, I don't even carry that much when I'm in the mountains. So you may laugh at what I carry, but these are the bare essentials, and I don't want to carry anything more than I need to. So let's go through it. Let's go through what I've got in here. There's a few like absolutes, stuff that you'd be in trouble without, and one of those is my spare release aid. I always want to have a second release aid because every once in a while, the one that you're carrying in your pocket or strapped around your bow gets lost, falls off, you forget it at the truck, whatever the case may be. And I don't want to be out there in the tree, after hiking half a mile and sneaking my way through the timber and then find out I don't have my release aid. So I always carry an extra release aid in my pack. That's a key one. What else have I got here? Just little items. Here's one that you older guys will be able to identify with. I got a spare set of reading glasses. You don't want to go out into the tree and not be able to look at your cell phone. So I've got a set of reading glasses out there. I always have a set available. And then let's get into the big pack. I carry a set of these rangefinder binoculars, and they're not necessarily in my pack. Usually they're going to be around my neck, but I thought it'd be worth putting them in here now and just talking about them. But these were a pair that Nikon gave me several years ago. Gosh, it's probably been 6 or 7 years ago when they first came out with them. But there's several companies that make these. I know Bushnell's got a set. I believe Vortex does. I know Leica does. Those are real expensive. Of course, Nikon. Maybe just about all of the optics companies now have these range-finding binoculars, and they're kind of expensive. So, I mean, they're not necessarily a must-have because you can still carry those little compact rangefinders. You need some kind of rangefinder. So that was my point, I guess, is to make sure that you're heading out there with, even if it's a low-end, little compact rangefinder. This is a doe pull rope, and I made this one. There's nothing much to it, a little piece of PVC and some nylon rope with a big knot, and then you just loop it back through. Well, it's hard to drag does through the woods. Bucks, you can grab the antlers, but the doe, there's really nothing good to hold on to. So I just loop this over her head and then pull it down tight, and then I've got the handle, and I can drag her through the woods. And I shoot enough does that this thing gets way more of a workout than almost anything else in this pack. A lot of stuff in here has to do with staying warm. So I've got a couple of different hats. I've got 3 different hats, depending on the situation. A face mask, and I guess that's the main stuff for staying warm. But I always have that stuff in my pack because you get out there and maybe it's 35 degrees and it doesn't feel that bad when you leave the house heading in. But you've been in the tree stand for a couple of hours and all of a sudden you realize, I'm really getting cold. You lose a lot of heat through your head. If you can keep your head and face well insulated, I just feel like it just makes everything else feel so much warmer. So I always err on the side of having extra stuff to put on my head, around my neck. This is an item that if you hunt out of ground blinds, you'll appreciate. It's just a little small washcloth that I use for cleaning the windows. Sometimes you get into the blind and the windows are real dirty, so you got something to clean the windows with. I keep my grunt call in my pack. And when I get to my stand side, I'll pull it out and put it in my pocket. But I don't want to leave it in the pocket of my pants or the pocket of my jacket because I change to different outerwear garments pretty consistently. So I don't want to, again, it's kind of like the release aid. I don't want to get out there and find out that I don't have my grunt call. So if I keep it in my pack, and then when I get to the hunt, or to the location, you know, I pull it out, put it in a pocket, whatever, and then put it back in the pack when I'm done hunting. I feel like I'm always going to have it. I'm not going to be looking for it. And, you know, in my experience, and maybe this is something we'll talk about more in a future episode too, but I've called in, I'll bet you half of the bucks that I've killed over the years. So it's let's call it a 50% solution. You know, as a bow hunter, you've got to create that close range shot. Well, you've got a nice buck at 100 yards and he's passing through the timber. You don't have too many options. You're not going to be able to get down and chase after him. So you got to bring him to you. And it's shocking what percentage of the bucks I've killed over the years that I brought him within bow range because of this little thing right here. And this is a Primos hardwood grunter. And I like this one because it's loud. Again, you know, I do a lot of calling to deer that I want to shoot. I don't do a lot of blind calling, but if they're a ways away, I need to be able to get their attention. And so often you'll call to deer and you think, oh, they're not interested in the call. Well, if they don't stop and look, it's because they didn't hear it. So I always want a really loud call. And the Primos hardwood grunter, it's a loud call. And if you blow on it hard, it doesn't blow down and turn into a duck call like some of them do. So that's why I prefer that one. I've got a knife. Everybody needs a good knife. This was one that I designed that Owen Baker handmade this for me. It's beautiful. It was my design. Yukon River Knives makes these. I think they've got a few of them left. Owen custom made 10 of them. And Yukon River is selling them, but I think it's the best. I call it the ultimate whitetail knife, but it's the perfect size in my mind. I like a fixed blade because you don't have to worry about, you know, getting it loose. You know, like if you're going through and especially splitting the brisket, you don't want a knife that's got any wobble to it, or one that if you use it a few times you're going to end up ruining it. That's why I like the fixed blade, smaller size. Like I said, this is what I think to be the perfect knife design. I keep a little limb saw, and this is a super portable one. Who makes it? Hoyman makes this one. And you never know, even when you've set up a stand. And this isn't the pack I carry when I'm going in to set up a stand. This is the one I carry once I've got a stand set and I'm going in to hunt it. I've got a completely different system that I use when I'm going in to set one. And I wouldn't use a little small saw like this one. I'd have a bigger one. But you never know when you get there and you think, gosh, I didn't see that branch before. I need some way to get that thing down. So it's nice to have something a little small like that you can keep with you. So these three items right here, they go with the one thing that I forgot to put in here today. And I carry ratchet straps, usually one, sometimes two, in my pack all the time. And all they are is like the extra ratchet straps that you'd get if you bought a tree stand. And sometimes they've got, you know, loops on each end, and the only way you're going to get it to go around the tree is to use one of these, I don't even know what they're called, you know, little carabiners, I guess. So you'd loop it, you know, through the carabiner around the tree and then back into the carabiner. And so many times if we leave a tree stand out through the winter and through the next summer, you come back and you're like, gosh, I don't know. I mean, this just doesn't seem that safe. You know, I mean, it's not safe. So what I always do then is just throw another strap on. So, I mean, it's a lot easier for me just to have 15, 20 straps, you know, extra straps sitting around and carry one with me every time I go to the tree and put it on. I mean, some of my tree stands had, you know, 4 or 5 straps around them. They weren't coming out of the tree. And every time I felt like the strap was starting to get, you know, maybe it had been there for a year and didn't trust it anymore, you know, I didn't take it down and replace it. I would just put another strap around the stand and the tree. So I thought that was a super important thing to carry with me every time I went out, you know, to go into a tree stand. So that's what these are for. They're just for hooking up that extra ratchet strap. I carry my hunting licenses. You got to have them somewhere. And again, I don't want to leave them in my pants pockets, because what if I wear, you know, a different pants the next day or bibs or something like that? You know, I don't have my license with me. So I always have that in the pack also. Now I'm down to the last few little items here. And these you're going to find fairly unique. I've got a cigarette lighter. And I don't smoke cigarettes, so I'm not exactly sure what oh, I know what it's for. It's for lighting the LP heater. In the winter when I'm hunting in a blind, I'll carry the little LP heater with, so I gotta have some way to light that. So that's what that's for. Let's see. This is a tiny little light that Nikon, I don't know what they call it or how they use it, but like let's say at the end of legal shooting time, you've got some animals around you and you don't want to turn on a headlamp or you don't want to turn on a full-size flashlight. This little bitty light is enough where you can see what little small things that you might need to grab out of the tree. Maybe I left this, or where's that bottom step, or where's that next step, when I'm looking down off the stand. You can just pop this on and you can find whatever you need to find, and you don't blow the deer out by having something really bright. I felt like just something little small like that was important. These are batteries for my lighted sight pin, and I don't want to get out there again and find out that my sight pin batteries are dead, because I really rely on those. As I've gotten older, my eyesight's gotten worse, and I need those lighted sight pins. They're super important. Here is, see if I can remember the fellow's name, Quentin Brown. He was one of my interns one year. This is the FLW, Fishing League Worldwide. This is his membership card, Quentin Brown. I use this as an ice scraper on the insides of my redneck blinds. So if I'm hunting in the winter and you get condensation of frost on the inside of the blind window, then Quentin, courtesy of Quentin Brown, I'm scraping that frost off with this thing right here. Now, this is another item that you might not have thought about. This is a camera light. And we got into using these, of course, when we were filming hunts. And let's see if this one's even charged up. They're super bright. And we use these little bitty lights when we're filming recoveries after dark with our cameras, our video cameras, but they work super well for blood trailing. They're way better than a flashlight because they cast a much wider, almost like a flood type beam. And just a little light like this in your pocket or in your pack makes a huge difference for blood trailing. You can see the blood a lot easier. This thing's bright. It's got a rechargeable battery. Super handy. In fact, I think so much of them that I actually have 2 of them in here, because like some other things, you don't want to find out when you get there that you don't have, what you need. And then I've got 2 fully charged spare batteries. So I'm good to go. If there's some blood trailing that needs to be done, I'm gonna have enough light to do it. I think that's it. Minus the ratchet strap, which I'll have in there before I start hunting here in a couple of days. When I get up to the farm, I'll throw one in here. That's all I carry. In fact, for this part of the season, you can leave this, the cold weather stuff out. So you start, and again, I'll be wearing the binos. So you go back to what it is that I actually carry. It's precious little amount of stuff, but I feel like it's all I need. I'd love to get one of my buddy's packs that weighs 50 or 60 pounds and go through that and see what all he's got in there. That'd be kind of an interesting contrast, but mine probably weighs about 6 pounds total. And, I got enough other stuff I'm carrying. I don't need to be carrying, I don't know what all they've got in those things, but this is all I need. So I appreciate you joining me. And like I said, we're getting into the hunting season now. So hopefully from here on out, or at least, pretty soon, these episodes are going to be filmed in the field. We're going to be talking about the gear that we've got with us while we're hunting, how we're using it, and hopefully ways we can help you to become a more effective bow hunter.